people of the internet! Hold on, I briefly heard about this. We need justice for Kyren Lacy. Kyren tragically took his own life at just 25 years old because of false accusations that ruined his career. Just like every media outlet and fan ran with the story that he caused the crash that killed a man, everyone needs to know the true story. Yikes.
The multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did, in fact, pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Wow. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that investigation.
Yikes. Tragic. I was loosely familiar. Like, I've heard the name before. I think I heard about this incident when it first happened. Of course, this news is now breaking, looks like, as of late. People are calling for justice. Late LSU football star Kyren Lacy was innocent. He was yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact, contradicting initial reports that he caused the December 2004 fatal crash. I did hear about the crash when it originally happened, if I'm not mistaken. Imagine that. Imagine feeling like taking your own life was the only solution for freedom, for justice. The initial reports were saying that he was the cause of the crime. Young man, 25 years old, I'm sure a bright future ahead of him, playing football at LSU. Feeling like there was no other out but to take himself out. At first, I thought it was a situation with a woman. When I heard false accusations, I originally just thought false accusations of when women typically false accuse men. That's another thing that kind of like makes me upset, because when situations like that in particular happen, you never hear about the consequence when it's found out that the man was innocent. When it comes to that. In this situation, of course, same thing kind of sort of in the sense of y'all had a story. Facts proved that your story was wrong. You didn't correct it, or you didn't correct it in time to prevent this young man taking his own life. It's sad when you think about it. 78-year-old man nearly released video. Lacy took his own life days before he was set to appear before a judge. Days before he was set to appear before a judge. My man weighed his situation and felt that like the best alternative he had, or the best solution that he had at the time, was to not appear before the judge at all. Take his own life. Tragic. Rest in peace to this brother, man. There's a lot of takeaways you could take away from that. If people had a little bit more faith in our justice system, because they do get it wrong. If people had more faith in our justice system and understood that, hey man, it's a black man. You stand a chance to a fair trial. See, they'll tell you you have a right to a lawyer, fair trial, whatever the case, yada 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 yada. But then you get in that courtroom in front of that judge, and all of a sudden things don't necessarily go as they should. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. Some would argue, even today, we were just talking about P. Diddy. Some would argue that the judge got it wrong. In this situation here, this young man felt felt that the judge was going to get it wrong. So you either thought, take my own life or do life in jail. You decide. Interesting. Very interesting, man. Rest in peace to that brother. Sad that that's the solution that he thought was the best alternative, but man, this world is what do you put your faith in if not God? Can't put your faith in the justice system. Can't put your faith in man. Can't put your faith in your neighbor. Can't put your faith in your job. What do you lean on for like reassurance if not yourself and God? At least me. Where do you feel safe? What do you trust in this world? Scary out here.